Welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. With over 20 years of real estate experience and selling over 150 homes a year, Laura Sanders is the #1 RE/MAX agent in the state of Florida for 2021. Join us each week as we discuss how to make money through buying and flipping homes, to renting versus selling, and everything in between. To join the conversation, call in live 888-994-4995, Studio A.
Bye.
Hi, and welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. I am a local realtor with RE/MAX, have been for over 22 years, and want to help you find your dream home. Also want to help you save money while you're doing that, whether it be through buying a car so you have more money for your home, or just helping you to fix that home up before you sell it so that you can get the most money possible to move on to your next. Today, we're going to talk about what is the difference between wholesale mortgages and retail mortgages. So today we have our sponsor, Max Fish, who's broker owner of his own company. So welcome, Max, and let's talk about the difference between retail mortgage companies and wholesale mortgage companies.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me again. It's always a pleasure being on.
Love to have you.
And so, that's a really good question, because I think it's one of the things in the mortgage industry that is the most unknown, right?
Okay.
People just kind of group, hey, you're a mortgage broker, you do mortgages. That's what a mortgage broker is.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, whether it's a mortgage banker, a lot of people don't know that there's a difference. Mortgage banker, loan officer and loan originator, mortgage broker. So I am a true mortgage broker, meaning
Okay.
I'm a broker, owner of my own mortgage company, Nationwide Mortgage in Coral Springs. And
But you can do mortgages anywhere.
I can do mortgages, anywhere. And I work strictly on the wholesale side of the industry. So opposed to the retail, which is your big banks, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, along with the more localized mortgage banks like Cross Country, Guaranteed Rate, Loan Depot, those types of third-party direct lenders, we call them.
Okay.
And
So you're not a direct lender.
I am not a direct lender. Those are retail. So they get wholesale rates and wholesale prices from investors. They upcharge them,
Okay.
and then they sell them.
And that's how
Right.
those owners of those companies live on the intercoastal.
Correct. So I mean, I would think of it the same way as like a Publix and Costco.
Okay.
It's very similar. Costco is selling things at wholesale price, where Publix gets them and then upsells them for a profit, which is, you can draw a lot of parallels in a lot of
But it doesn't
various
seem
different
like
industries.
Publix has got that much more of a profit than Costco. Just a
No,
little bit, right?
it might be small. It could be large depending on the product. It's the same thing for mortgage. So we work strictly on the wholesale side, which means I don't work for a bank. I work for the client. I am, in essence, a middleman between the client and the bank. Now,
Okay.
obviously, I'm still licensed, state certified to originate loans, and that's what I do, just like somebody that would work at any of the banks that I just named. But the main difference is that it just gives me options. Okay. So when you go to a bank has, hey, here's your credit score, here's your down payment, here's where it lands on a matrix, and here's what I can give you, right? They kind of go up, credit score, down payment, here's where you are.
Okay.
For me, I work on 10 different matrices.
Okay.
So if you don't fit this box, maybe you fit this box.
Okay.
Maybe you fit this one. If this underwriter says no, I'm going to call my underwriter here and see if they say yes. I'm going to call my underwriter here, right? And so it gives me a little bit of flexibility. And because I don't work for the bank and I have these wholesale accounts, not only is it cheaper, but depending on what the client's need is and what the realtor's need is in a transaction, whether that's speed or whatever the case may be, it's my job to know where I need to place them to be successful.
So sometimes, like in a jumbo loan, right?
Sure.
Sometimes you can't do it in 30 days because you're going to a certain investor.
No, I mean, it really depends on, 30 days is very standard. Everybody can do 30 days. I'm talking about the extreme. Somebody says, I need to close in 11 days from now.
Okay.
Well, not everybody can do that. I need to make sure that we're going with an account that I have that can accommodate a 10 to 11 day closing.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
But would you always have somebody that could do that?
Yeah, always.
Okay.
Yep.
It just might be a little higher of a rate, and they would have to make a sacrifice, so the buyer might not want to put that kind of restriction unless they're going to lose their deposit.
I mean, again, it just depends on what their need is, right? If their need is speed, then I'm not searching for the absolute lowest rate for them,
Okay.
right? Now, the rate is still not, it's still wholesale, right?
Right.
So we're talking, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, if a rate is 5.5, maybe they have to go
Where's that at?
maybe they have to go with 5.6 to be able to get
Okay.
it done in 10
and what
days.
is- and for our audience, like, what would 5.5? Listen, because people like they see, oh, it's more. Like, how much more is that? Like, how does that
Sure.
Give us an idea of like if you were doing, let's take a $500,000 home. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's easy for you, right? And that rate difference so little.
Yeah.
How much difference per month would that make on a $500,000 house?
So if a lot of people know, but a lot of people don't know, obviously rates typically go by eighths. So you have 5.125, 5.25, 5.375, right? And so for every eighth on a $500,000 house, you're probably looking in the ballpark of a difference between $40 and $45 a month
Okay.
between every eighth. So, I mean, the difference, for example, between 5.5 and 5.625 would be about $40 a month.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a good rule of
So-
thumb.
Okay. So if somebody's basically telling them that it's going to be, a half a point more, then that's a significant.
That is very
That's going to
significant.
be like $160 difference per month.
Yeah, if probably more.
More.
Yeah.
Okay.
Close to it though. Yeah.
Okay.
Depending on if it's 40, 45, and it also just depends on the loan amount.
Right. Okay.
Right. But
All right.
that's the main difference between a retail bank and myself is just it's a little bit less corporate, and we just have options. It's not like the end all be all.
So I've heard, I've been doing this for a very long time. So
Sure.
then you hear like myths, or I
Sure.
don't know if they're myths. Is it truth that like a mortgage broker pulls your credit like 10 times with 10 different places to see what's going to happen? Is that true?
No, it's not. So I think one of the main problems it stems from the sell against, I like to call it, meaning a lot of direct lenders and retail banks took advantage of the fact that, hey, in 2008, it was the mortgage broker's fault, right? Everybody used to be a broker prior to 08, kind of like how I am now. And there was like a bad taste in people's mouths coming out of 08, right?
Right.
But with all the new regulations and how mortgage brokers have kind of had to be regulated, so to speak, and I wasn't in the industry back then, but I know a lot about it, right? And so it started to come back. Brokers started to become more advantageous in the past 5 to 6 years. In retail banks, because they can't compete really price-wise and product-wise, they've had to sell against. So, hey,
Right.
don't get a mortgage broker because they don't have control over the deal, or they have to pull your credit 10 times, which neither one of those is true,
Okay.
right? We pull credit one time, just like everybody else does, and any account that I use will use that same credit report.
Okay.
So it's not pulled, any more than one time.
And when it does come to mortgages and pulling your credit, like what are your suggestions or what are your things to tell people to look out for?
Yeah, so that's a super good question. First of all, it's very important that we can pull credit, only because it's hard for us to give clients a clear look and clear picture of their financial situation, where they stand as far as qualification wise, without seeing their credit report and their liabilities. But really, the biggest thing to look out for is, well, number one, for those that you don't know, you have a 30-day window to where you can pull credit with multiple mortgage companies, and it only counts as one inquiry.
Interesting. Okay.
So
Most people don't know that.
Yeah, so a lot of clients come to me and they say, I just got my credit pulled 4 days ago with a mortgage company. I don't want you to pull my credit. And I said, well, actually, because they pulled it 4 days ago, now I can pull it at no penalty, right? It's not going to hit your score.
Right.
It's going to be the same report you just got 4 days ago.
But they're still going to get notified that their credit's
They'll
being
get
pulled.
notified, but it's not going to be
Hard pull.
well, it will be, but it's not going to be an additional inquiry. It only counts as one inquiry
Okay.
for your scoring purposes. So they do that because they want to incentivize people to shop.
Right.
They want to give them a 30-day window to be able to go out and quote multiple different mortgage companies.
And always get your mortgage first and buy your car after.
Yes.
because they don't care if you qualify. You could buy a car for a payment that's like $2,000 a month, and they don't even say, oh, you don't qualify. They're just going to say, your interest rate's going to be X.
Sure.
X. So
Sure. Exactly. Once you close, you guys, obviously people are just free to do whatever they want with their credit. It's just while you're in the mortgage process, you don't want to add anything, apply for any new credit cards, because they will monitor your credit throughout the process to
you
see.
also don't want to close any credit without talking to you first.
Sure, exactly. And they will, you know, the credit is monitored, but it's not going to be repulled multiple times, like I said. And you guys do have the ability to shop within a 30-day window without penalty.
Okay, that's good to know. I mean, because people ask all the time, and I have to tell you, you get different answers from everybody. So I think everybody has a different, take on that. So
yeah.
You know.
So I just think that's important for people to know, because, again, there's a lot of misconceptions about, like I said, mortgage banker, mortgage broker. I make it clear to clients that I work for the client. I'm not working for the bank. The bank's interest is not my best interest. My best interest is for them to get them qualified and then represent them throughout the process and see their loan through.
Right. Well, there's a lot of good stuff. I know we're going to have to go through we got more to talk about, but I know we have commercials and one is yours. So let's go to commercial break. And when we come back, we'll talk more about, what we need to be looking for when getting a loan and what lender we should be picking.
Awesome.
At Title Brothers LLC, our mission is to give you the best closing experience anywhere in the country. Founded in 2020 by Adam Lohman and Josh Wiseman, here at Title Brothers, we're your one-stop shop for residential real estate, title insurance, title and escrow services, real estate closing, and due diligence services. While primarily located in South Florida, we also host dozens of closings throughout the state and even electronically as requested. To contact the Title Brothers, call us at 954-995-4988 or visit our website and get a quick quote today.
Whether you're buying, selling, refinancing, or building your dream home, you have a lot riding on your loan specialist. Max Fish, a top 1% mortgage loan officer in the nation, will give you a same-day qualifying quote. Max Fish is committed to providing his customers with mortgage services that exceed their expectations. Ensuring that you make the right choice for you and your family is his ultimate goal. Contact Max Fish today at 954-729-6933 or max.fisch@nwmcorp.net.
You have been watching Making Money with Laura. For more information, contact Laura Sanders at 954-650-0827 or visit her website at theloracell.com. And now back to the show.
Hi, and welcome back to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home, give me a call at 954-650-0827. You can also go to my website at lauracell.com. Yes, couldn't afford the S, so it's just Lauracell. And I am moving on with Max Fish to talk about what is your process when people come in to purchase a home? Like, how do you work it? How do you make them feel comfortable? How do you differentiate yourself from all the other people out there? Because there's a lot of mortgage companies.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with that last sentence you just said, because I think that's key to how we try to present ourselves up front and how we do differentiate, right? I think that there's a lot of mortgage companies, and let me just say, not to offend anybody out there, but I think the mortgage industry as a whole is an older industry, right? Like, a lot of people in the mortgage industry have been doing it for 15, 20, 25 years, right? And I think that that sometimes rubs off on clients just because mortgage professionals, I think it used to be being behind the scenes, not having to be up in front. Like, as a realtor, you are constantly up in front of clients. You're constantly
But they
meeting.
get thank you'd more than we do.
Well,
I have to say, at the end of the whole deal, I'm like, what, was I not here? Where am
Sure, I don't know. I don't know why that happens.
People from like 30 years ago that haven't bought in a house in 30 years that are buying now, like, they don't understand the changes. Is like, for instance, we have TRID.
Sure.
Like, you're getting protected. I could tell you back in 2002 when I bought one of my houses, That was the most stressful event ever. I went to closing, my interest rate was supposed to be 6%. When I got to the closing table, not only was it 7.99, but it was going to balloon to 12%. And I was like, there's no way I'm signing this. Well, guess what? I got a mortgage. So, and supposedly I could afford it. And I was like, not when it goes to 12%. Like, how do you even balloon a mortgage when somebody can never afford that?
That era of time and how people did things, I've heard of people signing blank loan estimates, like didn't have their closing costs on it yet.
Yeah, which
And they
you're
signed-
protected people. Like, you need to know that. Like, you are totally protected.
Correct. It's not like that anymore, and there's a lot of regulation and oversight in place to keep that from happening again. But up front, piggybacking off what I was saying, I think that the disconnect in the industry is just that personalized touch to every file and every loan. And so I make it a point, no matter how many loans I do, I make it a point to take every single phone call, create every single relationship up front. I take the phone call. I don't pass it off to anybody. People are going to be talking to me. They're going to be game planning with me. And then they're going to ultimately be getting notified by me throughout the process. So I think that that's one thing that people, and the feedback that I've gotten that people like, is that I have hired help. Obviously, you can't do everything yourself, right? But I've hired help on the back end and not the front end. Where the front end is where a lot of mortgage companies and banks stick people. They'll hire somebody and stick people on the front end.
Once you take the loan application, now
Correct.
you have to talk to Margie
Correct.
afterwards and never get to talk to Max again.
If a realtor partners with me, they're partnering with me. They don't want to talk to, if they send a client over, hey, they don't want to get a call from their client like, I know you referred me to Max, but I haven't even met him yet.
Right.
I'm not even talking to him, right? I think it just makes them more comfortable with the team setting if they're getting referred from a realtor partner of mine, and just makes them more comfortable that, hey, I'm talking to the person that's in charge of seeing my loan through from the beginning to the end. And that, I know it sounds super simple, but I think that differentiates me from a lot of people in the industry. Not that I'm the only one that does it that way, but I've noticed that that's a big gap
Right.
in the mortgage businesses. So when we make that initial call, we build that relationship. They only get my personal number, so it's text, call. A lot of people like texting, so we text back and forth.
How do you feel about texting?
I love texting. I mean, I think
You don't think anything gets lost in translation ever?
it depends on the circumstance. If there's something very serious that needs to be handled by a phone call, and I feel, obviously I feel like it needs to be relayed verbally, then of course you pick up the phone and do that. But with people as busy as they are throughout the day, trying to get things done, if we waited to talk on the phone and played phone tag all
Right,
day or
nothing
all
would get
afternoon,
done.
then things wouldn't get done. So I make it a point, again, that they're not calling my office line to where I can't text. They're texting my phone, they're calling my phone, and then they can, feel comfortable and shoot me a text at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night
I was going to ask
to
you,
get their loan
what
done.
does a Saturday night look like for you?
Well, I try to have fun and enjoy myself, but my phone is always with me and always on. So if it's a Saturday,
I've never negotiated drunk.
if it's a Saturday and somebody needs something, or they have a question, no matter how desensitized we are to this stuff and how dumb we might think a small little question is, it's the biggest purchase somebody's ever going to make in their life. So I try to make myself available because I know how I am
Right.
when I'm stressed out about something and I'm thinking about something at 9:30 p.m. on Sunday night or Saturday night. It might keep me from sleeping for an hour or
Do
two.
you feel like you're throwing out a bad precedence of what you offer?
What do you mean?
So you're saying at 9:30 p.m., you're thinking about, how's this mortgage going to look? What's this going to look like? How's that going to be, right? So now they're like, oh, let me text Max because I need to know, or let me call Max, or no, Max, I really need to talk to you. I can't text with you,
Do you think I'm kind of? Are you more so?
Listen,
asking?
I'm not one to talk.
Yeah.
I'm probably. The
Are you saying
worst
I'm just
at
I'm not setting
boundaries?
boundaries?
And listen. I think a lot of people love to hear this, right?
Yeah.
But and you're doing phenomenal in the business. You're really crushing it.
Yeah.
You know, I think people need to know that. So for me, I just know that I'm definitely that person that
Yeah.
lack boundaries when it comes to my work. Like,
Sure.
you know, if you ask my children, like, hey, mom, they wouldn't even say that. They'd be like, hey, Laura, like,
Yeah.
like you're a realtor.
Yeah.
No, I'm a mom. No, you're a realtor.
Sure.
you
Well,
know.
well, as far as boundaries go, I mean, of course, you want to make sure that if there's something, you know, serious going on or whatever, that you're just communicating that well to people. But I think that's where text comes in handy too, because if we're just being realistic about it, it takes 8 seconds to send a text message.
Right.
Right. And so does it bother me that somebody might text me at 9:30? No. I mean, maybe it's just my generation. Do you know what I mean? Maybe it's just how I was, how I was raised and what I'm used to.
Right.
But it really doesn't feel like there's an intrusion
Right.
When somebody has a question at that time of the day.
Oh yeah, some people's
And-
voicemails, some realtors say, you know, if this is after 6 o'clock at night, like I'll return your call the next business day. I'm like, I didn't know real estate business ended at 6. I'm like,
Sure.
I missed that training.
Yeah, so I don't feel that way, at least in this point in my career as well. But I do feel like that's contributed to a lot of the success that I have had in this business, is just being available for when people need me. And obviously that looks differently. It might not be a phone call, but it could just be as simple as a text. I know that if I was getting a service for me and it was a big thing and I was anxious about it, a simple text back that maybe took them 5 to 6 seconds would mean a lot and go a long way.
Right.
And so it's just those types of things that that I try to stay consistent with, to differentiate with other people in the business.
So let's just try to regroup and get back just a clear picture of what it looks like. So a person is recommended to you, usually
Sure.
referred by, you know, your
Yeah.
realtors,
Yeah.
right? They get recommended to you. You obviously set up a time to have a talk with them. You fill out the loan application. Well, they fill it out. You send them like a link, right?
Sure, I'll send them a link to fill out the loan.
They fill out the loan application where they're able to probably upload PDFs.
Yeah, they'll upload PDFs, and the cool thing about the system is if they just upload pictures, it automatically
Converts it to
converts
a PDF.
it to a PDF. Yeah.
Let's say though you have somebody that's older,
Mm-hmm.
and older could even just be like 52, because some people just don't feel comfortable.
Sure.
So they could just email it directly to you.
They can either email it directly to me, or we can hop on a Zoom. So either a Zoom call and I'll go through it with them on a share screen, or we could just do it verbally on the phone and I'll ask them the information and fill out
But
the
you still
fields.
need like their W-2 or their
I would-
tax return.
I would still need their W-2. So if they don't feel comfortable electronically sending it, I've picked it up from people's houses. I've had them drop it off at my office, physical copies.
Okay.
So, we try to make everybody feel comfortable in that way.
Okay, that's awesome. And then do you do any other areas other than, Florida?
So right now we do Georgia.
Okay.
We're almost approved in Tennessee to do loans there.
Everybody's picking these areas that everybody's moving to.
Colorado and Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are the areas right now, but obviously all over the state of Florida.
Anything different about any of those other states?
Not much.
No?
Not much. Just little minuscule guideline things that vary. Like, for example, the condo. I know we talked about this a few
It's
months
so
ago.
different here.
Condos are different in different states, and their
Yeah.
down payment requirements, their HOA requirements, and I think that's just a product of us being near
Is
the
that
water.
easier everywhere else?
Yeah, way easier.
And it's, yeah, I mean, even just like co-op in New York versus co-op here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So to go back to your question, yeah, I collect all their documents, obviously send them a pre-approval as they're looking for houses, run monthly payment figures, talk about ways that we can help, better their situation and make them comfortable with the numbers. Then once they go under contract, it's submitted, and obviously I oversee that process as well. Again, from beginning to end. If they call me, I'm never not going to know what's going on with their file.
Right.
Meaning I'm not going to say, hey, I got to make a call to my assistant to see
What's going on.
what's going on.
Right.
I'm always going to know where they're at, what's going on, are we on time, so on and so forth.
Well, what's a good number for everybody to get a hold of you if they're thinking about getting a mortgage or refinancing even? I don't know about that. Those rates, I mean, you should have done it before, but.
So the best number to get a hold of me is 954-729-6933. That's 954-729-6933. And again, that's my personal number. You can call or text me at any time.
And what's your web?
My website is www.nwm for Nationwide Mortgage Corp, CORP, fish.net, and my email is my first name, Max, dot my last name, Fisch, F-I-S-C-H, at NWM for Nationwide Mortgage Corp, C-O-R-P.net.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Max, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And guys, if you are thinking, and gals, if you're thinking about buying a home, thinking about selling a home, just want to know what your home's worth, give me a call, 954-650-0827. I'm your host, Laura Sanders, with Making Money with Laura Sanders. Till next week. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in for Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. To join the conversation, call us at the studio, 888-994-4995 Studio A, or contact Laura directly at 954-650-0827. Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. We look forward to seeing you